Reading with Joan.
Hi kids, we are back on another edition of Reading with Joan. I hope you have fun as you join us as we read the various books we have on the show.
Reading with Joan, the place for all the fun, creative kids.
Hi everyone, it's Big J here, and today we're reading about the Victorians, and I think we're finishing it this week. Okay, we're reading about royal visitors from where Little J stopped last time. African kings and chiefs also visited Britain in the later part of Queen Victoria's reign. The media and the public found these black Victorians fascinating. One visit in particular made stars of the royal visitors. In 1895, a group of 3 kings from southern Africa made an extraordinary journey to Britain. They came to stand up to the British colonialists who wanted to take their lands. The man the kings were worried about was Cecil Rhodes, the Prime Minister of the Cape Colony in today's South Africa, and the driving force in the scramble for Africa. Rhodes believed the British were superior to other people, and the world would be better if Britain ruled more of it. He made a fortune in diamond mining. He used a private army to take land for his British South Africa Company and dreamed of making Africa British all the way from the southern tip of Africa to Egypt in the north, with a railway to connect. Imagine how long that would take. Guys, can you imagine how long that would take? Africa is about 5,000 miles from north to south, so that would take ages. Okay, let's read on. He even had a country, Rhodesia, now Zimbabwe, named after him along the way. And he still wasn't satisfied. By 1895, Rhodes had his eyes on Bechuanaland, now known as Botswana, which was already officially a protectorate of the British government. Rhodes wanted his own private company to take over Bechuanaland instead, sell land to white settlers. The rulers of Bechuanaland knew this would be a disaster for them, so King Khama III of the Bagama Ngwatu people came up with a plan to stop Rhodes, together with 2 other Bechuanaland kings, Sebele I of the Klana people and Bethoan I of the Bangwakati. King Khama went to Britain. His aim was to persuade the government to protect Bechuanaland from Cecil Rhodes. Khama wrote to the colonial secretary that Rhodes' company did not love black people, only loved to take the country of the black people and sell it to others that it may soon gain. 3 kings spent weeks traveling around the country, giving talks, going to dinner, meeting businessmen and politicians, talking to the press, that's like newspaper writers and journalists, and raising awareness of their cause. It helped that King Khama was Christian, educated, and didn't drink alcohol, all of which impressed respectable Victorians. Positive press reports also helped turn the kings into celebrities. They were able to make a deal with the British government. They allowed railway to be built on their land. They would be paid properly for it, and most importantly, Bechuanaland would stay under the protection of the Queen and not be ruled by Cecil Rhodes. King Khama had managed to talk to the British people who might disagree with Rhodes, and he had taken on the British Empire on his own. Sounds like a pretty respectable plan to me. Pay them well for what they want to do, but not completely let them take away what's want from them. Let's read on. There were black Victorians in ordinary lives, like Sarah Ford's Vanessa, as well as celebrities. Most black people in Victorian Britain lived in London or one of a few port cities like Liverpool, and came from either the West Indies, the USA, or Sierra Leone. Some were born in Britain, others came to study, or as sailors. By the end of the century, universities in Durham, London, Cambridge, and Liverpool were teaching Africans. Black doctors like John Alcindor from Trinidad began working in British hospitals. Hey, who remembers when we read about John Alcindor and the black scientists and inventors in the UK book? Do you remember? I remember. That was fun. Some black Victorians found their way into British life by serving in the army and navy. By 1885, British soldiers from the Durham Light Infantry fighting in Sudan found an abandoned boy and looked after him. They took him back to England then and gave him a new name, Jimmy Durham, after his regiment. Jimmy stayed at the army and served in India. When he came back to Britain, he settled down and started a family in the northeast of England. Other black Victorians worked as musicians and performers, like the African Americans who brought their styles of music and culture to Britain. One of the most successful Victorian black entertainers was neither American or a musician, but a circus star from Norway with an African father. father. William Darby joined the circus at an early age and started using an exotic stage name as Pablo Franqua, became an expert horse rider and trapeze artist, and soon ran his own circus ringmaster. He became famous again in the 20th century when he was mentioned in the Beatles song Being the Benefit of Mr. Kite, which was inspired by a circus poster for one of Pablo Franqua's shows. In 1843, the black population in Victorian Britain was small in numbers, but the number of black British subjects in Africa and the West Indies was vast and growing. In the next century, many more of them will travel to the small country, the heart of the empire. Kids, I hope you enjoyed reading Black and British from me. This is the last episode of the Victorians. So if you enjoyed it, leave a like down below, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and follow us on Facebook in Fahabli and Joan Hepzibah, and make sure to comment what your favorite part of Black and British so far has been. We're moving on to modern history next week, so we really hope you join us again and learn about a mystery era. We'll see you then. Bye!
Hi kids, we are on another broadcast. Yay! RWJ Storytime. I hope you enjoyed the last story. Do not brag. If you've not listened to it, press the button and listen to it. Today's story from our lovely book, Story from the Caribbean, is Sookooyah. Say Sookooyah. Let's find out what Sookooyah is. This story is based on a mystical character from the folktale of the Commonwealth of Dominica. What's happening? There was a lonely old woman whose name was Sandrine. Sandrine lived in a house up on a hill, far away from most of the people who lived in the small village. She had once lived in the house with her husband, Valentine. Valentine had built himself. It was a simple little building with hardly anything in it. There were just one room where they slept and ate. And outside at the side of a house was a small kitchen where he did their cooking. Sandrine and Valentine would plant vegetables in their garden and then cook them and eat them. Often they would go to the river and fish, then bring home what they had caught and cook it up. Occasionally, they would walk down to the village market where they would buy rice. It wasn't that they needed rice, but in fact, rice wasn't something they ate much of, and they had a lot of it already stored up in their cupboard. But they enjoyed to walk and chatter. Their life was simple and sweet and very happy. They loved each other very, very much, and they had vowed that only in death would they part. One day, Sandrine woke up to find that her husband had died. Was the saddest day of her life. They had spent so many years together, and now she would have to spend her days alone. Very painful. At first, Sandrine just stared up out of a window, watching the sun rise and the sunset. She did not tend to the vegetables in her garden. She did not go fishing. She could not go into the village market, although she did not have much appetite as stomach rumbled and yearned for food. Luckily, they had plenty of rice from the works of the village market when Valentine was still alive. Every day, Sandrine would cook up a bowl of rice for her lunch. By now, being an old woman, her hands trembled so much that some of the rice would end up on the floor. Sandrine would not stand the mess, so her afternoons were spent picking the small grain of rice that had fallen. This would take a long time as she found it so difficult to bend her knees and straighten her back. Everything ate so much. Of course, Sandrine had a dustpan and a sweeping brush and could have done it quicker, but she was so bored. It became pastime for her to count the grain of rice as she picked them up one by one, a habit she became used to. Even if she had wanted to, she didn't know how to break. Kids, do you have habits that even when you want to break it, you don't know how to break it? Okay, let's find out what she did. Each day, she would bend her aching body and reached out her arthritis fingers to pick up one tiny grain of rice at a time. 1 grain of rice, 2 rice grain, 3 rice grain, 4, 5 rice grain, 6 rice grain, 7 rice grain, more, and so on. When Sandrine had picked up all the rice, she would take a nap, and after a nap, she would sit by a window once again, watch the sky. She watched the the birds spread their wings and fly, and wished she could do the same. She wished her body didn't ache so much, and wished she could wander around the street like the wild animal. Instead, all she could do this day was watch the sky and count rice grains. One afternoon, while Sandrine was still taking a nap, she heard someone call her name. Sandrine! Sandrine! When she opened her eyes, standing in front of her was a strange little creature. It was difficult to work out what she was seeing was real or not, and she was half asleep. Or besides, the room was dark on account of her closing the shutters to block out the sun. The creature she saw was 8 foot tall and looked like half man, half goat. The head was long like a goat with 2 coily horns and a bear. The eyes were piercing red like fire. The rest of the body looked like it belonged to a man, except one thing: the creature was a cat, a long tail. Yes, Sandrine screamed. What you want? Let's do that. What you want? I am Jack, roared the strange creature. Don't be afraid. I have come to grant your wish. Sandrine rubbed her face. She was sure she must be dreaming now that she's never seen a creature such as this before, especially one that pronounced that she could grant wishes. Especially one that pronounced he could grant wishes. In any case, what kind of wish would such an ugly creature grant her? Oh, Sandrine said, not believing what she was seeing was real. She closed her eyes again. Now, let me sleep. I am an old woman. I'm very tired. I know that, said Jack. I am here to grant your greatest wishes. Just tell me what would make you happy, and I'll give it to you. Still trying to sleep, Sandrine tried to make herself comfortable in her chair, but the creature had disturbed her, and the usual aches and pain was nagging her joints again. For a moment, she remembered the happiest times of her life, and tears slipped from beneath her closed eyelids as she recalls the good times she spent with Valentine. Valentine, she sighed, opening her eyes and looking at Jab. If you can grant a wish to make me happy, then bring Valentine back to me. That I cannot do, growled Jab. I cannot give life to the dead. Pick something else. What kind of wish maker are you? You can't give me what I want. Next, Sandrine. Valentine is the only thing that would make me truly happy. If you cannot bring him to me, then leave me and my aching body alone. I can grant you that wish, said Jack, taking a small bottle of oil from his bag. With this oil, I can make your aches and pain go away. Sandrine opened her eyes again. Jack was reeling and holding a small bottle of oil in front of Sandrine's face. All you have to do is to rub the oil on your skin, Jack said, and your pains will leave you. Sandrine was tired of the troublesome aches and pains. She reached out her frail hands towards the bottle and then stopped. What's the catch? She asked. What do you want in return? Nothing, said Jack. I don't believe you, said Sandrine, who had lived long enough to know that there is a price for everything. Nothing goes for nothing, she said. Well, there is something, said Jack. You have to follow my instruction and be back into your house before daylight. If you are not inside your house before daylight as instructed, then there's a price you must pay. And what is the price? Asked Sandrine. If you don't get back into your house before daylight, then you will belong to me. Sandrine thought about what Jab said. She was unsure what to do. She didn't trust Jab at all, but the thought of being free from her aches and pain, if only for a day, was too much for her to resist. She would make sure that she's back to her house before daylight. Give me the oil, Sandrine said. Then Jab passed the bottle to Sandrine. Jab grilled, then rubbed the bottle all over her body until her skin was soft and slippery. Then it dropped off. What? But I don't want my skin to drop off, said Sandrine, thrusting the bottle back into Jab's hand. Trust me, Jab said. You will only be out of your skin for a short while. Without your wrinkling old skin, you will be able to travel out of your house with ease and enjoy and roam, and when you finish roaming, you can come home and put your skin back on. Sandrine hesitated. This creature, Jab, does not look all trustworthy. He looks like a sort of clam that would double-cross her, one that would say one thing and do something else. But she wanted to take the stripe out of her house and not to ache anymore. Sandrine decided she was willing to take the chance to be rid of a tiresome aches and pain, if only for a short while. Turn around, Sandrine, said the Jab. He did as she asked. Sandrine quickly rubbed the oil over her body until her skin was slippery. It came off like a coat. Then she looked around for everywhere to hide her wrinkling old skin, somewhere that Jab would not find it. Should he want to trick her by keeping it from her? Sandrine hid the wrinkling skin in a rice bowl for safekeeping and slipped the bowl under her bed. When she bent down to do this, she could feel the effort of the oil already. She no longer felt any ache or pain in her body. All the pain that she had been feeling in her knees, in her fingers, in her back had gone away. This is amazing, she said. I feel young again. Nothing hurts anymore. I feel so light. I told you, said Jab. Now fly. Fly? Jab breathed green smoke over Sandrine. Then at once, Sandrine's feet left the ground and floated out of the door. Hold on! Where am I going? She called out. But Jab was nowhere to be seen to answer her cry. Sandrine flew up in the sky and all over the village. She loved what she could see. And way up in the sky, she could see the river where she and Valentine had fished. She could see the village market, the stockholders packing away their goods. She could see people going home from work and stray animals roaming in the street. All night, Sandrine could feel her body lowering to the top of the houses where she hovered, and as people slept, she flew in and out of open windows, making people call out in fear. They were afraid when they saw her because without her skin, she looked so ugly. People couldn't tell if she was real or if they were dreaming. Keep away from me, people screamed. No one wanted Sandrine near them. It's only me, Sandrine called. The old woman from the hilltop, but they didn't seem to hear her. They ran from her as if she was going to harm them. Sandrine loved the fact that her body didn't ache anymore, but she felt light and free. But it made her feel sad that people were afraid of her. When the first glitter of light peeped through the night sky, Sandrine's flesh began to burn. Ouch! It's burning, she said. It's nearly morning. I better get back to my skin. Sandrine quickly flew home, but Jabs was a cunning devil. While Sandrine had been away enjoying herself, he mischievously sprinkled rice all over her doorstep, knowing she could not resist picking up grain. When Sandrine arrived at her house and saw the rice sprinkled all over the doorstep, she was not pleased. Who's done this? Who made a mess in front of my door? Sandrine cried as she stooped down. This will never do. I've got to clean this up. Sandrine started picking up the rice, grain by grain, which was a habit, counting each grain one at a time. She couldn't help herself. 1 rice grain, 2 rice grain, 3 rice grain, 4, 5 rice grain, 6 rice grain, 7 rice grain, more, and so on. And as she counted, the sun continued to come up. Jab watched as the skinless Sandrine counted the rice grain on the doorstep, and he laughed. I catch you, Sandrine. Daylight has caught you without your skin. Now I own you. I will let you wear your wrinkled skin in the day, but at night you will transform into a ball of fire, and every night you will be known as Sookooyah, and you will scare all those who walk this village street alone, said Jab. Sandrine was distraught. She couldn't believe how foolish she had been to allow herself to be tricked by Jab, but she had made the deal with him and lost. There was no way out. She had to pay the price. And every day from that day on, Sandrine shed her skin and flew about, disturbing people in their dreams and scaring those who walked the village streets alone. She even grew to enjoy a new role, laughing at those she frightened, for it was more fun than sitting alone with her aches and pains, feeling sorry for herself and counting her rice grain. To this day, when people walk alone through the villages at night, it is claimed that Sookooyah, a ball of fire, can be seen flying through the darkness. Ooh la la! Did you like that, kid? Do you know every story has a lesson you have to learn? What did you learn from Sandra? You have to learn to discern Think before you act. Do not let the need and the things you want drive you into making wrong choices. That's the lesson I learned. The need she had drove her into making a wrong choice. Kids, whatever need you have, tell your parents you need it. If your parents cannot afford it, be contented with it. Do not let your need for new toys, for new clothes, for new things drive you into the wrong kind of friendship or right into the wrong decision that will lose who you are. It's very important that we make the right choice and we always follow our heart, right? Think about the choices you're making today. If you are not sure about it, just like Sandrine, don't take the step. No, say no, no, no. If you are not sure, no, no, no. Okay? Make your choice wisely. And once again, on this note, I'm going to say thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for reading with me on Reading with John Story Time. I'll see you next time on Reading with John Story Time. I'll see you next time. Okay, I'll see you next time on another broadcast of Reading with John Story Time. We'll have another interesting story next time. Bye. Okay, I'll see you next time on another broadcast of Reading with John Story Time. We'll have another interesting story next time. Bye.